Good morning. Welcome back, day 2 of our sleep quest. And I loved seeing all of your comments yesterday. I am still trying to figure out how to see them while I'm on here, so maybe today I'll be able to figure that out. But let's see here. So bear with me. Um, so how are you today? How did it go yesterday? Check in. Tell me good morning. Tell me replay, hashtag replay if you're watching this later. And yeah, just let me know if anything shifted for you yesterday. I definitely took a few rest breaks yesterday. I um, paused and snuggled with my 2-year-old after his nap. I took a short bath yesterday, and I definitely closed my eyes a few times. So just curious, yeah, if you have anything to share. And so today I'm going to be here about 15 minutes again, and then if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'll try and figure out if I can see how to see them. I'm definitely not a tech expert, I'm a sleep expert, but I think, okay, I can see my live video going, all right, on this other page. So we'll see what happens here. So today I want to talk about rhythm, and I'm just going to open with this little activity. So I have my drum with me here, and I'm gonna play you a little rhythm. Okay, so there's a nice rhythm. And so we'll do it again, but I'm gonna not be in such rhythm. So just see if you can listen here. Maybe close your eyes. So I just want you to notice the difference between those two. Let's go back to the first one more time. So how did it feel to you, or how did it sound when I was in rhythm with the drum? I definitely naturally. Oh, hi Myra. Looks like Myra's joining us on Instagram. So I definitely, when I was playing the rhythm beat, you saw me like bouncing with it. Like I could go with it. And then the more erratic one, it was like kind of, for me, it almost felt like raindrops falling on me, but like out of sync. Like, oh rain, oh rain. So just curious if how that felt to you, to like be in rhythm and be out of rhythm. And I have one more thing I want to give you as a demonstration about rhythm, which is to go ahead and close your eyes, or like yesterday, you can look out the window or look at something in your space that relaxes you other than the screen. Looking at the screen can get, you can just get, right? So you can close your eyes or look at something other than the screen. And I want you to picture a rhythm, like a wave. Maybe picture a wave, or like even just a line that's going up and down and up and down in a nice rhythm. And as you picture this rhythm, however you imagine it, I want you to imagine it getting brighter and darker and brighter and darker. And just notice that rhythm going brighter and darker and brighter and darker. And just notice how that feels to your body and your system. And then I invite you to put your hand on your chest or on your tummy and connect with either your heartbeat or your breath. So either feeling your heartbeat or your breath, whichever one feels more natural to you. And then when you're ready, you can slowly make your way back to the screen. So welcome back. So our heartbeat and our breath is generally on a rhythm throughout the day, except for when stress enters our world. And I just want to use that as like a starting point today for this chat about rhythm. So our heartbeat and our breath are on a rhythm, and we want them to be on a rhythm, right? Like generally, you don't want your heartbeat to be off rhythm too much, and you don't want your breathing to be off rhythm too much because then you won't get the blood and the oxygen you need. And also, it just doesn't feel good. If you've ever had heart palpitations or like you're breathing real heavy suddenly, it doesn't naturally feel good. And so I just want to use that rhythm as a starting example for today, which I'm going to talk about circadian rhythm for a couple minutes. So, circadian rhythm is the natural rhythm of the earth and all the cycles around it. It's our natural night and day rhythm. So, every day the sun comes up, it's sunny or it might be cloudy, but the sun is up, or we're facing the sun to be more accurate. And then every day we turn away from the sun and we face the moon. And that happens in a rhythm. And I just ask you, like, what would it be like if all of a sudden in the middle of the night the sun came out? Or what if all of a sudden in the middle of the day the sun went away, which it does with the clouds sometimes, but I mean like really went away and it got really dark, like when we have a total eclipse. That's definitely odd, right? And I think as humans, we generally prefer the predictability of the sun and the moon, especially because I hear people complain about the weather all the time. They don't like it when the weather changes. We don't like it when the weather's unpredictable. I think as humans, we generally like that predictability. And so the same goes with your sleep and your waking rhythm. Now, because we have the ability to add sun into our life at night, like um, we're able to turn on lights at night, we're able to mess with that rhythm. And I don't want to just go bashing on electricity and lights and technology, but I just want to bring into your awareness that interruption of rhythm that happens when we bring lights in when it's supposed to be night, or in the day if we make it dark all of a sudden, which darkness during the day can actually be restorative, like to close your eyes for a little bit or take a nap. But I'm talking about like long stretches of dark. So, so rhythm. So one other thing, I just want to tell you a quick story about rhythm, and let me just check in over here on Facebook just to see if anybody's commenting. Oh, I see another friend on Instagram. I'm so glad you Instagrammers are here. I'm kind of looking over at my Facebook computer because I originally wanted to do this sleep quest on Facebook, but then I thought, heck, why don't I just do it on Instagram too? So if I'm not looking at you, that's why I'm looking over at the Facebook screen. I'm kind of looking back and forth, and I'm just trying this out. So a quick story for you about rhythm. So yesterday we talked all about stress. If you missed yesterday's, you can go back and watch it. Yesterday we talked about stress, and we talked about reducing stress during the day because stress from the day carries into the night. And I want to give you an example because I have a perfect one that just happened to me. So on Sunday, I drove out to Yellowstone National Park with my 4-year-old, and it was like, I don't know, at least an hour and a half to get there, another 45 minutes of driving in the park, and then we had to do that to come home. So it was like a very different day for us. We spent a lot of time in the car, we saw a lot of amazing things, and my 4-year-old, at a couple of points in the day, I could tell he was getting overstimulated by everything that he was seeing because he would just be more reactive. Like he fell down, he was more reactive than usual. And that just tells me, and I kind of expected that. And so what I want to say about this Yellowstone trip is it was a form of stress. It wasn't bad stress though. It was what I would call good stress or positive stress. And so I just want to mention that stress can be helpful in like challenging us, introducing us to new things, trying new things. It can also be negative. But either way, stress is stress. And when your body experiences stress or something new, it then boosts a lot of different hormones to cope with the stress, which is ultimately a good thing. However, those hormones stay boosted. They stay boosted for a couple days. And then to counteract like the extra energy that we cultivate to get through stress, we then need extra sleep. So the night after we went to Yellowstone, my son and I both slept really well. And in fact, he slept a little extra in the morning. And then the next night, we slept like fairly normal, like not extra, just normal. But then this morning, on the third morning, we both woke up really early. So I usually wake up at like 6:30. He usually wakes up at 6:45, 6:30, 6:45. But I woke up at 6 a.m. this morning and I looked at his monitor at like 6:20 and he was awake too. And so my best estimate from what I know about science is that the stress, like we're finally rebalancing. So we woke up a little earlier today, and then hopefully tonight we'll be kind of back to normal again. And so that's an example of how daytime stress affects nighttime. So our stress levels are still a little elevated from that trip. And then after we got caught up on our sleep, then we lost a little bit of sleep. And without getting all scientific on you, this is just the body's way of rebalancing, finding its way back to homeostasis, just to keep it simple. So whenever we switch up our routines, switch up our rhythms, there is stress, and that stress can be positive or negative. So the goal is not to not to ever have any stress in our lives. The goal is to be on a rhythm as much as possible. And then when you fall off the rhythm, it's okay. You come back to the rhythm. This is very similar in the exercise and nutrition industry that I come from. You have a general like plan for eating and exercise, and then you might fall off of it, but you come back to it. And it's the same with sleep. So the other thing I want to talk about today is how to be more on a rhythm for yourself. So a couple of things for you to consider. And remember yesterday what I talked about was we all have a different entry point into better sleep, into more energy, into reducing our stress. We all have a different entry point. So you pick what resonates with you and you start with that and you trust your intuition. I don't want to give you a formula or a pattern. I do that in my sleep program course. I give you like a step by step to follow over the course of 5 weeks. But even there, you're picking and choosing what resonates with you. So here's a few tips for you, things to try. So in the morning, you want to expose yourself to a lot of light, get outside. Definitely just get outside during the day. It syncs you up with the rhythm of the earth and the sun. I highly suggest making your dinner time earlier. My dinner time right now is 5 o'clock, and I go to bed at 9:15. My kids go to bed at like 7:45. So we eat dinner at 5 o'clock. That gives us a good 2 to 3 hours between dinner and bedtime to get the kitchen cleaned up and even like get outside one more time for the day and to relax and read books and have a routine. So an earlier dinner makes for a nice early bedtime. And having your dinner around the same time every day, it sets a nice rhythm for your digestive system. So just consider that as well. And then after dinner, having a bedtime routine. So one thing I hear a lot of people say is that they don't really get any time to themselves until the evening, or they have so much to do in the evening. So if you feel like you have too much to do after dinner, like you need to clean up the dishes and you need to clean up the house and whatever you need to do, what I suggest is to give yourself, if you get dinner 2.5 hours before bed, then you can give yourself like an hour to do all that stuff. And then at least like an hour before bed, try to shift into a bedtime routine that doesn't involve screens or technology. And some of the things you can do during that bedtime routine, I actually have a blog on it on my website. So if you want to see some samples, you can on beverlyhosford.com. But otherwise, some examples, you can have a very simple bedtime routine that just involves like taking a bath or a shower, very mindless, or like stretching. Or you can make it very spa-like, like a retreat. You could do candles and music. You could give yourself a foot massage or a head scratch, like this. I love scratching my head before I go to bed. It really helps settle me down, and massaging my feet. You could, if you feel more active, you could do some painting or a puzzle. You could do some journaling. You could meditate. You could stretch. You could do all these things. You could create an hour, very luxurious, hour-long bedtime routine. Or you could just put on some music and stretch or take a bath and keep it simple. So if you have a bedtime routine, I'd love to know what it is. Or if any of those sounded nice to you, I'd love to know what sounded nice to you. So go ahead and type that in for me. So let's see here. Yeah, so that's mostly what I wanted to cover today is to just try and match up with the natural circadian rhythm of the sun and the day and the night. I want you to just try and think about that today a little more. What can you do during the day that's more day-like, and what can you do closer to the night that's more night-like? How can you get your body onto that rhythm? Because like the rhythm of our heartbeat is very boom, 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 boom. Our breathing is more like in and out, in and out. Everything has a rhythm, and our night and day rhythm is very large, it's very long, and so it can be very easy to get into the day rhythm, and then it can be tough to transition into the night rhythm and vice versa. So I want you to really think about the morning, what you're doing in the morning. Drinking water when you wake up, exposing yourself to light, tuning in to the nutritional needs that your body has, especially before you reach for caffeine, and then think about what you can do to transition from day into night. How can you close out your day a little bit before you need to go to bed? And how can you wind yourself down? So pick a couple things, keep it simple, make it sustainable, no stress, and let me know what they are. And I just want you to play around with that today. And then we'll be back here again tomorrow. We'll be back here again tomorrow to close out with some tips about how to figure out how much sleep you need and how to figure out when's a good time to go to bed and stuff like that. So that's how we'll finish up tomorrow. Please join me again tomorrow. And if you're liking this, bring a friend, because if you have a friend supporting you in this journey, it will definitely be more successful, more enjoyable, more nourishing for you. So let me just see if I have any comments or questions over here on Facebook. And I'm glad that I had some people joining me today. Okay, I don't see anything, and I'll just check the feed later too to see if there's anything in there. Feel free to invite friends to the Circadian Mama page on Instagram or my Sleep Fitness Facebook page, and they can catch these replays and they can be part of the community. I like offering a lot of resources for people to find the rhythm, to sleep better, to have more energy. So I hope you're finding something that resonates, and I will see you tomorrow. And have a lovely rhythmic day.